of our hearts be acceptable to thee, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. So we in the United States have kind of a bipolar relationship with royalty. As you know, our country was founded on throwing royalty to hell and high waters, so to speak, and having a democratic republic. But our favorite show is on Netflix. How many watch The Crown? So there's a few of us in here. There's this strange relationship. The first thing anybody does when they go to England is what? You want to go see the changing of guards at the Royal Palace. Yes. So we tend to put people on pedestals and to scoff and scorn them, no matter if we have a monarchy or if we have a republic. We're very involved in having royalty. But usually people have the idea of Jesus as royalty just as bipolarly as we do real royals in the skin. It's an interesting fact that in the very early Christian communities, like right after Pentecost, that the believers actually started talking about Jesus as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That the royalty of Jesus was one of these crowd things that came from the people. It wasn't a theologian that decided, well, because he rose from the dead, we ought to call him king. It didn't happen like that. There were so many prophecies, like from Jeremiah and Isaiah, that pointed to a king is coming. A king is coming that will surmount all kings. He'll be the root of Jesse, the seed of David. Did I get that right? So all that to say is that what we really think of when we think of Jesus as king is that he should be able to fix all things, right? And it's usually religious people, even churchgoers, perish the thought, who come to church and if we don't get an answer from God for a particular whatever we're praying for, we tend to shut a door, saying, well, he didn't answer my prayer, I must not be worthy, or he must not be listening. And it's religious people that tend to do this more than others. Why? Because we think we understand it, but we really don't. So the mystery of how prayer is answered, the mystery of the humanity of Jesus and the divinity of Jesus, the mystery of the resurrection. I mean, who really understands that? It's a mystery for a good reason. One of the things that one of the many things Mary Bendis taught me was the symbolism of the Russian crucifix. It has a line at the top of the cross, and can you guess what that little line is? It's to symbolize the sign that says, here is the King of the Jews. So that's a reminder on the Russian crucifix. There's also two little lines down below, and that represents the footstool, that his feet would have been nailed right above that footstool so that some of the weight went on the footstool. And it's tilted like this. And she says, you know why it's tilted like that? And I said, no. I'd never thought of it actually. She said, because the criminal hanging on Jesus' right went to heaven because he sought the mercy of God. The criminal on Jesus' left went to the other place because he was mocking Jesus on the cross. So that's why it tilts like this. And so there's a theology lesson right there in the Russian crucifix. But this story that we have today with Jesus crucified between two crucified criminals is in all three synoptic gospels, and this is the only one that talks about what they actually said to Jesus. So this story of the good guy and the kind of doomed guy are unique to Luke. So one thing that the criminal enforces is what we saw in the trial of Jesus, that because he claimed to have some authority, which we know he didn't claim, he came here to wash people's feet, to feed them, to say, remember me in the Eucharist. He breaks the bread and he blesses the wine and he gives himself to everybody. He breaks himself open and gives himself to us. But because he was so clear-headed and had such a direct line to grace and healing and holiness, he threatened the powers that be. And what happens in any community when you threaten the you get mocked and shamed, which is what the crucifixion was all about. And so this criminal is just continuing that little line of inquiry, which is, if you're so great, show us how great you are. Nanny, nanny, come down off the cross. I mean, it's just cruel. And notice what Jesus' response to this cruelty is. What's his response? Nothing. It means nothing to him. He has fought the devil in the desert, so people throwing barbs at him as he's dying, it doesn't make any impression whatsoever. He speaks, however, to the criminal hanging on his right, because that criminal does what we are supposed to do. When injustice happens on your block, in your neighborhood, in front of you, what should you do? Speak up, thank you. You speak up, and there he is, crucified himself, thinking not of himself like this guy was, and while you're at it, Jesus, save us too. This one is saying the right thing. How can you, when you are condemned justly, just as I am condemned justly, how can you say that to this man who is innocent? And the point of all the Gospels is to show how Jesus is innocent, that he was tried because of bad juju. They were not feeling good about this man with authority in their midst, which is where kingdom comes from. So he tells him, you have no right to say that. And then he talks to Jesus personally, which is also what we should do. And he says, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. So there's the word kingdom. Here is the King of the Jews, and now the word kingdom is being used in the proper way, which is the kingdom of heaven, of which everybody watching him die is part of the kingdom of heaven. These were religious people who were threatened with their daily life at this upstart. So we continue to be threatened. There continue to be corrupt governments. Read the world news. There's corruption every which way we turn. Our only recourse is to speak up when it's our turn to speak up, and to entreat God to remember me when you come into your kingdom. And God's answer to this remember me is, Jesus says, remember me, and gives us the bread. Remember me, and he gives us the wine. So we're playing a remember me game. We remember Jesus because we look into each other's eyes every day and we recognize the divinity of each one of ourselves here. The bravest thing you did today, you've already done it. It's not coming up. You came to church. Because where two or more are gathered in his name, who is present with us? Jesus. And Jesus said, today you will be with me in paradise. Does that make you scratch your head? What about going into the tomb? What about going down below to hell for 3 days? What about the resurrection? What do you say? Today you will be with me in paradise. What the heck is he saying? Today you are with me in paradise. Remember, God doesn't work in Chronos time, tick-tock time. God works in Kairos time. So today is the day the world ends. Today is the day that Jesus rises from the dead. Today is the day that we are part of divinity, because if God thought our crumbling human body was an okay place to pour Jesus into, if Jesus can make a body divine, that makes us divine. So, interestingly enough, the week I spent away on a meditation retreat, we did a lot of chanting, because chanting prepares your body to go into contemplation. So I'm going to sing. It's only a 2-line chant. When you get the idea of how it goes, it repeats. We're going to sing it a few times. Here we go. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember